Hello, good evening, and welcome. It's Thursday, and it's the next exciting edition of the Art Eco Framework. So tonight should be incredible, basically. Okay, so I'm using a new mic because my other mic's crackling. So I just need to check if it's happening. So let me just do that. I think it is. 1 2. 1 2. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, let's hope it is. So this is a big heavy mic. So I'm having to hold it in my hand. So it'll probably be a fairly short show because it's very heavy. Anyway, and also it means I've only got one hand. So let's just do that. Let's do that, and let's do that. Okay, so I'm just going to check that one more time. Yeah, that's happening. Okay, so last week was a bit confusing because I tried to explain to you that you already had most of the assets that we'd need ready, and you weren't going to have to do any new stuff. Although I called that the adventure, so I actually talked about the wrong thing, really. So I'm going to do kind of a kind of an overview of all three, and then we'll probably drill down into it. So basically, in practical terms, so we've spoken about everything in the back issues, which are in the paid vault now, and you really need to get them because they're fundamentally key and fantastic. But we've seen basically the new opportunity, the way tech's changed it, what the new mission is, why it works. We've done the figures. We've talked about how we can control it. We've done all the kind of the background work as to how to turn our art into a business. So now we're at the practical stage where we're actually going to do it. And how would we do it? So last week was an insight into how we do it, in the fact that you have all the content already, so that really should come under the assets. So I'm going to talk about that again in a second. But I was actually supposed to be talking about this or this. So let's talk about the adventure. So so basically what is the adventure? What do I mean by adventure? So it's not that I'm asking you to make a game, okay? It's just that the games, are a great metaphor for what we're trying to do. This microphone's heavy. Basically, because in a game, we have a story in the sense that we have, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Or at least if not that, we have missions or chapters, whatever you want to call them, and we have, characters, and we have, background, and we have story, and we have powers, and we have the whole experience of, going through it, and that's kind of the adventure that we want to give our direct audience. Okay, basically. But it's not that we're writing a game, it's just that the game analogy happens to work very well for this. So you might be thinking, what is the story of my music? Because music's music. How suddenly is it a story? Well, as we said last week, music is basically emotions. So what we're selling is emotions. Emotions have, a story and characters and stuff assigned to them. But, in terms of, the question, how does music become, a game or a story? It's basically because there's a whole journey to the creation and then to the production of it, which again we touched on last week. So actually thinking about it, last week was actually a pretty good show, actually. But it was a little bit confusing. So so what I mean by that, is that you have a feeling that happened because of something that actually happened in life. So there's the real story. Then you turned it into an idea, and there's the whole, songwriting process going on there. Okay, and just like people, a lot of people love films, the backstory of the films, how it was done, insights into the characters, what the actors felt about playing the characters, just extra things that were involved in making it. So, a lot of people are as interested in that as they are in the film. So if you like it, they're kind of interested in the technical and creative process that goes into making the film, and it's the same for music. But also, the other thing about that songwriting process, and then we have the a recording process, and then we have a production process. You can always get remixes done by other people if you want new versions of your music. Many people will do that for free because they want the exposure and the practice and everything and the limelight. So you can probably get that done for free. But all of these things, and any of the art, involved in it. If you're doing any gigs, obviously, the things in the gigs. And the biggest thing, again, which we mentioned last week, is the UGC, which is that the audience's story is also involved. Okay, they're part of the art now. Okay, particularly with the way that the new tech can work for us. So as you can see, there's a load of things going on there, and you can basically just document all of these. But the other great thing about these is all of these stages have different sounds. So it might only be a demo, but it's the demo of their now favourite song. So it's interesting because of how it evolved, and lots of people like the unplugged version, for instance. And a lot of people like the studio production version. A lot of people like the remix, and a lot of people might like it in a different style or with a different performer. So all of these are actually different versions of the same song. So the good news is you don't have to write more songs. Okay, that's the good news. The bad news is you have to do more productions of them. Okay, but when I say productions, I also mean stages and demos and things that you're already doing. It's just we're saying, let's capture that, let's make that into, some MP3s, and let's, share that story. Okay, it's sharing how this emotion started, how it comes to life, how you're nurturing it, and what you hope it will be, and all of those things are important because it's all about feelings, it's all about emotions, and the song lasts for 3 or 4 minutes or whatever, but the emotions last kind of a lifetime. But what we interpret from the song and how it makes us feel, and discussing that goes on for a lot longer, and that's part of what we're selling, because as I say, we're selling emotions. Let me just take a quick drink. Okay, it's only water, so don't worry. So that's really where the adventure comes from. And also there's the other thing in that we can express the same emotions in other forms, such as actual visual art. Okay. In visual art, and there are loads of versions of visual art, and as I mentioned last week, I'm basically because I don't have a like a Hollywood studio, I'm basically going to be relying on animations, rather than having real actors, because it's possible and cheap for me to do, and I can do anything in my imagination, whereas I can't make people turn into bananas or whatever I might have on my mind. So, animations, work for me. And again, technologies give us a load of options to do this. As I said last week, there's even this Puppet software now where you can actually just, speak and move your head and wave your arms, and the puppet on the screen will follow you exactly in real time. And the puppet can be anything from a banana. I don't know why I've got bananas on my brain today. To a monster, to even to lifelike looking photos. So you can turn a static photo into a real living, moving, breathing, talking puppet, basically. But when I say puppet, I mean it's photorealistic. It's not really a puppet, it's a photorealistic thing. But you can take any picture, bone it, give it moving lips and eyes and eyebrows, and control it from from a webcam to make it a real-time puppet. Anyway, we're getting into too technical thing there, but bottom line is we can express these same emotions in our songs in other ways visually, however you want to do. You can do stop frame animation with paper squares if you want to. I mean, it's completely up to you what this visual representation is. So there's a lot of things going on, and it's not actually that different to what we used to do, because we used to do album covers, and again they were art, and a lot of people love collecting the album covers because they were an art piece in themselves. Posters, we used to do those. We used to make videos for the music, so there's those, and there's we also do interviews and guest performances and co-playing gigs and all sorts of stuff, and they're all visual metaphors. And again, when we gig, I mean, sometimes it would just be standing there playing your instrument, but a lot of the time we would be involved in lighting and props and makeup and costume and getting dancers involved and back projections and all that. So none of that's really changed. It's just that even if you don't gig, I guess this is the big thing, even if you don't gig, you can still put on a gig. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's really the thing. So it hasn't really changed. It's just changed formats. So I'm just going to put that in. Even if you don't gig, okay, because a gig was a visual thing, and an interactive thing, and you put more content in it, and it was an event, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the adventure. So even if you don't gig, you can put on I'm going to call it an e-gig. I've just invented that word. And basically that, it's visual. It's interactive. Again, the audience are part of the thing, and it's an event, with props of some sort, and and I've said the visuals, and also there could be different audio versions, particularly if you're doing this gig as a kind of a VJ gig, visual DJ, with a VJ remix or a VJ stem. Okay, I know that VJ stems don't exist yet, but they will very soon. And if nobody else does them, I'll do it. So it's definitely going to happen very soon. But it's the logical thing to do, and there's already software that kind of did it, that was actually out, blimey, long time ago. Definitely going to happen, the VJ stems. So everything that we can do with music in terms of sequencing and production and all that kind of stuff will be happening with visuals of whatever kind. Okay, so I'm going to get into animations, but it can be photo, it can be realistic, it can be real videos, it can be anything you like, really. And that's that's the moral of this story. So that's really the thing. So when we say the adventure, that's really the thing. So if the metaphor of the game doesn't work for you, then just realize that you don't actually have to gig. You don't have to go somewhere to gig and get the audience to come to you. You can put on the gig pretty much anywhere, whether you're out and about or indoors or in cyberspace or whatever you want, or in your mate's living room. It doesn't matter, and you can bring the audience to you globally, and you can do all the things more of the visual things that you would do on that e-gig. Okay, so that's the adventure, and that whole thing is what the adventure is. And just remember that what underpins it is the emotions, because the songs are always about emotions and feelings, and we're just doing that and other art forms of it, and in new events, which as I say, could be local in your living room. It's not that you have to travel 1,000 miles anymore and get an audience to a venue. You can do it in your living room and bring the audience to you. And as I say, a very important concept of this, just to remember that as well, is that the audience are now part of the show. Okay, the audience are now part of the show. So that's kind of the adventure. Okay, so I think that kind of clears it up, but if not, comment below the video. Right, so the assets, we've kind of really talked about the assets, okay, in the same, in part one there. So it's just the various versions that you go through, of the same songs. Okay, it's literally that. And then we're just adding into that other visual elements, same as we used to do when we gigged. And then the other thing is that we're putting on the new event, which, as I say, happens to be an e-gig. Okay, I probably should have invented that word, but anyway, but I think it kind of sums up what we mean. So the assets is actually the biggest, the easiest part of this, because it's what we've always done, really. It's just that we can increase our imagination a bit, and do other formats and visuals for it as well. But it also means that now the market has changed, and it's not that they're only interested in the the finished final production anymore. They're still interested in the story behind it, in other things that represent it, in posters and in album covers, and in the gig show visuals and all that, and costumes and props and back projections. Okay, so it's really what we've always done. It's just now it's in one easy, convenient digital format. So it's actually easy to for us to what should I say, to put on, really. Let me just check that we're still going out. Yes, okay, good. I think we are. Let's just check. Yes, that's the start I'm on. Brilliant. Okay. Right, so that's that. So so that's the assets one. So that's actually the easiest one. So the infrastructure one. So this is interesting, I think. Now that we're our own record companies, because we're indies, but now we're the new art ecosystem. What else do we need to handle? And the great news is that all this is really low cost stuff, or free. It's just the time and the art in creating it all. That's all. So the main thing, the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is your own website, which I call your HQ, because that's ultimately the one single place where people know that they can come to get your latest everything. So everything you're doing will be linked to from your web EQ, web HQ. So if you've got a YouTube channel, they don't have to remember where the YouTube channel is. They just have to remember where your website is, and that will link them to whatever's on the YouTube channel, as you want to, to do it. But it gives them the central place. This is the home. This is the what should we say? This is the master gig place. So very important you have that. And as I say, this is going to house everything, that you do. And this is the, as I say, this is the one central, not identity, but the one central place where everything you do is there. And the other reason that we want to do that is because we're in control of that space, and we can do the things that are necessary, like selling, like link building. So we can actually have a shop right there. We can get opt-ins right there. We can supply any of our content right there. So for instance, if we send them to YouTube, we can't easily give them our podcasts, and if we send them to our podcast place, we can't easily give them our videos to start with, but all of our other versions, our interactive mixes, and it's hard to publish our gig list visually, and it's just everybody else has got their own format, and we can't put everything we do in any of those one places. So we have our own place, our own website, where we can do this. Now it's completely up to you what how you want to do that. You can do it in plain HTML and Bootstrap and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people complain about the tech and everything, but WordPress is it's a blog platform. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be WYSIWYG. If you don't try and be clever with it and add loads of plugins and stuff, which you don't know if you can rely on or not, then it works flawlessly. Okay, all the problems come when people try and be smart and put their own kind of blend of plugins and themes and stuff on it. So if we keep it simple, then it works flawlessly, as I say. But it's all WYSIWYG, very easy to use. Plus there's 1,001 courses about how to use it. But for all we're doing, we're basically creating pages and posts. The difference is pages are kind of evergreen, whereas posts are more kind of news, and timely, related. So the post might carry a gig. And then basically when the gig's over, it kind of expires, but the page would be where you would list all of your past and future gigs, because that's an evergreen ongoing need, so that they can see all that stuff. And the reason we might have a backlist of the gigs is that there might be video clips or photos, or guest book signings, or anything like that, memorabilia from the show. You might have merchandise from the show. But that's the difference between pages and posts. The pages are evergreen, always relevant, and posts are basically timely. They're more kind of news based, and that's it. And if you can type an email, then you can use WordPress. Adding images is the same as as you would do it with an email, really. So just keep it simple. That's all. Just don't add loads of plugins and themes, because they seem like a good idea. We want to keep this very efficient, and using stuff that we know is solid, basically. So the website is the main piece of our infrastructure. So there's always going to be some array of social channels. That's going to change. At the minute it's probably YouTube and things like that. Maybe you want to do Spotify, I don't. But they're always going to change anyway. So it doesn't matter who they are at the moment. It may change, but the point is that there's always going to be a list of other places where we have an appearance. Now the other thing, it's kind of like social channels, but there are other places where you can syndicate your content. which aren't social channels necessarily. So syndication is something that we want to do, whenever we can, really, because when you syndicate, you're using their audience, they're getting the benefit of your material, so there's a great synergy between you. So, for instance, if somebody puts on a kind of an online e-festival, what about words, then that would be the thing. Maybe there's another syndication thing which are made of remixers. Maybe there's another syndication place where there are people who vmix, who'll make you a video, for your song, and again, they're doing it to get their exposure, and you're helping them because you're giving them the material to work on. But again, there's an audience that goes to these places because they're particularly interested in whatever their bit is, like VJing or an e-festival or whatever it is, and you can think of them like radio stations in the old school sort of thought. So you're just doing a guest appearance or an interview or a live gig or an unplugged or whatever you want to think of it as, at this kind of radio syndication kind of venue. I don't know, I shouldn't really call it a venue. Anyway, a syndication event. Even that's not right. Anyway, we'll just say, you know what I mean, the syndication place. So that's going to happen. And then I think the most important thing, again, this could change, is your interaction platform. And again, you may have, more than one of those. And also your interaction, or interactive, I should probably say, assets. Okay, so we haven't actually talked about those in the assets bit, but anyway, it's just come up now. Let me just make that smaller so it fits with this heavy microphone in my hand. Well, okay. So again, the interaction platform, might change, but a simplistic, view of it at the moment, could be something like a Google Hangout, or it could be a Facebook or YouTube live stream. It could be one of the fancy kind of, interactive platforms that are springing up, or it could be, something like, Snapchat, the other one, which I've still forgotten from when I couldn't remember it last time, and I've forgotten the name of this one again. Not T. Oh, good heavens! Forgotten it again. That's incredible. I closed it earlier. I shouldn't have closed it. Anyway, there was something beginning with T. As I say, this thing's got groups in it and stuff, and one-to-one communication, and it can do visuals as well as text as well as sound. So it's not really meant as a kind of a broadcasting platform per se, but it just happens to be working out very well in that process. So and these are going to come up willy-nilly. There's going to be a whole flood of these things coming out, so you just need to watch out and see which ones you want to go with. But the bottom line is that there is some interaction platform where the audience can react to you in real time and you can react back to them. Okay, that's all it is. It's as simple as that, really. So that's that. And then the other big part of our infrastructure then is our assets, our interactive assets. So the interactive assets are, actually I don't know if they necessarily have to be interactive, I'll put that in brackets. But it doesn't have to be as passive as, as the old days. So, everything, has changed, really. So if you think of an old tab sheet or lyric sheet or anything like that, they used to literally be paper, and they were fixed, and there was no feedback, and there was no interaction on them, and there was no two-way element in them. But now, and same with photo books and merchandise and everything you can think of. But all this is again changing now, and if you send them to the website with a PDF on, or a web version of a PDF, then that can be interactive. It can monitor their reactions. They can sing along. It could grade them. It could include them in the mix, that kind of stuff. And they could certainly leave comments and things like that. So I mean, if you think of SoundCloud right now, they can put comments in along the timeline, okay, where they go, I love this bit or whatever. That's a kind of example of of where the audience interacts, okay. So let's just put that down. So I mean that's a very minimal example of it, but you can see the way that it's all changing. It's becoming interactive and two-way, and the audience is part of the art now, because the fact that they've commented on that part of the timeline means other people can see it, and they'll they can join in that conversation about that reaction. So so that's good. So that's kind of that. I don't think it needs to get particularly more complicated than that. Obviously, there's 1,001 choices that we could, do, and as I say, the new stuff going to be coming out all the time. But that's basically the core, things that we're looking at. Oh, actually, sorry, there's one more, which is some form of push messaging. Now, at the moment, that is, messenger bots and that kind of stuff, and email. Okay, but again, I think the landscape is changing, and there'll be a new version of that where we have, very like this T thing that I can't remember, or even like Skype. Okay, with Skype, anybody can, masses of people can connect to you. You can create a group on Skype. You can do a video conference on Skype. You could just do an audio performance on Skype, you can have a group kind of video conference on Skype. All that kind of thing. So it's very, very two-way. If they're in the group and whatever, then you could message them straight away. So what we're really waiting for is something a little bit better than Skype. I mean, Skype could almost do it. It's just it's not really got the huge capacity that we want. It's kind of I think it's about 9 or something at the moment. Could actually do a multiple conversation. Whereas soon it will be that we could do that with thousands. Obviously we're going to kind of mute them in and out, because 1,000 people breathing would would probably be quite loud. But they're there on the push of a button, or when they put their hand up, or whatever. So they might not be in all the time, but they're instantly available all the time. So let me have another drink. And they're probably undoubtedly going to be phone apps and stuff that do this. So you could literally put your your iPod on your your iPhone on a stick, or a tripod preferably, so your hands are free. There'd be a little VJ console on there where you could bring in and out the audience. You could see and hear and read the audience reacting. If you want them to join in with the song, sing along, clap along, bang along, whatever, wave their arms in the air. That can all be part of the thing. And then you could, literally on the phone, feed that out on the, on the public stream, so that they're now part of the gig. Okay, so and that also, in my vision, if you like, will be kind of not only just two-way, but also kind of 24/7. I mean, you can turn it off, when you want to, but everybody in that channel, for want of a better word, is connected 24/7, and even if they're offline, they'd get a message or a replay or something that something had happened. But basically, if they tune in when you're on, then you're there. If you want to send them a message and tell them that you're going to be on in a little while, you can send it and they'll get a ping, and then they can check out what you're saying. So it's kind of like email, in that sense. But we're talking like a hybrid of email, live streaming, broadcasting, video, two-way video, and webinars with multiple presenters, all at the same time in a single mobile phone app. Okay, and it's almost here now. Okay, so this isn't pie in the sky. If only there was this. It is actually, kind of already out there. Nobody's brought all the pieces together, but somebody will very, very soon. Probably, maybe not this year now, because we're almost 2 months away. But in other words, 8 weeks. But early next year could be. In February or April, somebody could bring this out, and then boom, or boom, or bam. I think I prefer bam actually. Bam. It's there, and it'll probably be free or minimal cost. It might not be super powerful. In version 1, it might be 500 people or 1,000 people limit or something. But we know that our what's the prime audience really is 5,000. Okay, we don't even want to do millions really. 5,000 would absolutely do us, and and depending on your figures, that could even actually be 1,000 or 2,000. So that's really all we need to have the facility to do, is to cope with 1 to 5,000 people. Even if it was only 500, you'd sell that as the special premium access, and those 500 would be your hardcore true fans, and they'd be paying a bit more because you can only handle 500. So if they're not in the 500, they don't get it. So again, we get all that scarcity, urgency, and selling the invisible value, as one book I read or meant to read. I think I'm on page 8. Explains is people invest in what they care about really. So if they care about you, and there's only 500 places, then that one of those 500 places has an extreme value. Okay. So there's that. So so that's kind of our infrastructure itinerary. Let me just change that to numbers so we can just see how many there are. So there's 6 things. Okay, which isn't really that many, and they're all super easy to manage and to do and to have, and basically free to or largely free to have. So there's your main website EQ. Just keep it simple. WordPress would do you. You don't need loads of clever things in there. Obviously, there's always going to be an array of social channels like YouTube or whoever you want, or Spotify, or whoever you want to run with. I don't like Spotify because they don't really do us any favors at all. They control the big audience, which is great. Everybody gets excited about that, but you don't really get any share of that big audience. So just being there doesn't actually help you at all, and they control the rates, they control the commodity aspect, and they don't really help us at all. So that's why I don't actually like or even want to be on Spotify. if people want access to my music, I don't want them to go to Spotify. I want them to come to me. Okay, I will use Spotify for trailers and to tease people into, offer Spotify into my, web HQ. So I might do some snippets or demos or news or, phrases or riffs or, short remixes or something like that. But I'm not going to put the full version stuff on there because the people I want to listen to my stuff are not the people on Spotify, because they're used to having everything instantly available for no money, basically, and they're not my true fans, so I don't want them. Anyway, we won't go into the politics of all that, but that's why if you're wondering why I'm not saying let's get really excited and go on all the major channels like Bandcamp and Spotify and whatever, it's because that's not where the money is. Okay, this is a music business now, and we don't go, where there's loads of competition and no value. Okay, just doesn't make any business sense. So we create our own thing. As I explained to you on the shows before, we only need an audience of 1,000 to 5,000 people. We're not looking for millions of ears. If we want to, tap into those millions of ears, we can just do an extract or a demo or a teaser or whatever it is. On those places, but then if they want the rest, they have to come to us, to our web HQ, our central website. Okay, as I say, there are other places which are worth syndicating to, which are not exactly social channels. I mean, they're kind of social, but they're not. But they have their own audiences, and it's more of a two-way relationship. More of a direct two-way relationship. That's really the big difference. When you put something on. ManyChat or something, it's not really, a partnership with ManyChat. You're just one of, thousands or millions of people who are there. When we do this direct thing, it's going to be to a very select audience. If it's a VJ channel, then, there might be 1,000 VJers, but, you're one of the, absolute parts of, what they're doing on that, on that day. The event is about you, and you know that, and they know that. That's the difference. And they have their own audience, their own fan base, and we're helping each other out. So it works great. But that's why it's syndication. It's actually a direct relationship with people who have their own fans, and they're featuring you. Okay, that's the short answer. If you could be featured on one of these other social channels, then that'd be great. But they tend not to do featured, spots as such. YouTube I don't mind because there are a lot of people there, but we can control externally, how YouTube presents us in most ways, and because YouTube is still basically a chart, ranking numbers sort of thing. When we rank, for something, then there will be, some growth in new audiences. They give us. So in other words, if we rank for a search term, then anytime anybody searches for that term, we're going to come up. Okay, so. We do a bit of work to make sure that we rank for that term, and then, we will get more traffic that we didn't directly, ask for because we're ranking for that term. If you see what I mean. Also, though, worth mentioning that YouTube video ads are so cheap, we can actually hijack other people's videos. So if there is an artist that we sound like, or there's even a TV show that our music would fit, or anything like that, or if there's a TED talk on the emotion of whatever we're talking about, or whatever it is, we can just say people who like this video will probably like our music, and we just advertise. We pay to advertise in there, and because we only pay when people basically click through or watch a certain percentage of our video ad. It's super cheap, and because it's so targeted, and and we think that people who like that video will like our music. It's highly targeted. Okay, so and probably the conversion will be a lot higher than any kind of normal advert. Okay, anyway, but so that's kind of the syndication thing. So it's a different kind of thing, but it's a direct relationship, or it's somebody who actually features us, and they have their own, they have their own fans. I'll say fans because it will fit, but own audience is really what I'm saying. As I say, we're going to have some sort of interaction platform where we can actually broadcast, and we're going to have these assets which are more interactive in the sense that it's no longer a printed piece of paper, it's no longer a PDF. It could actually be something, a bit of software, or a new kind of e-paper where they can sing along and mix themselves into the song, or be graded to make sure that they're in tune or in time, or even just a kind of another option of karaoke software, if you want to think of it in that way. So it's the next generation of karaoke, but there isn't karaoke. I know this is getting confusing there, but anyway. But it's a moving arena now. That's why it's so hard to explain. But we're on the cusp of it, which is why it's so important that we stay awake and don't drop the ball, and see what we want to do. And then finally, the push messages, it is our way of reaching our audience on demand, instantly, basically. So those are the only 6 things we need. As I say, there are going to be multiple versions of those. It's going to change rapidly as technology changes. But they're the 6 tools. Excuse me. They're the 6 tools of our trade, basically. That's all it is. It's not a heap of stuff. Everything I've talked about is really going to be, WYSIWYG, click and drag kind of thing, or no harder than a mixing desk or a sequencer or something like that. If you can use anything like that, or as I say, if you can write an email, you're going to be able to do any of this, really, basically. Okay, so I think we've covered the 3 pillars there. And I've gone on for a long time. So, but I think that's clearer now. So we've got the 3 areas, and it equates to 6 tools. And the content, the assets, are really no different to what you've done in the past. So, there's nothing, you're not having to write more songs. You're not having to learn, radically new skills. We're just, talking about things like, a stem mix as well as your normal mix, or, things like that, which are not really that, they're not any different to, really to mix. They're just in, groups of kind of sound, backing track and lead vocal and whatever, just separated. So, nothing really to get in the way of you doing this at all. Okay, so that's the pillar. So next time, if I can remember, we will basically, I suppose, piece the pillars together. And I think what we will do, actually, more than anything, is to create a schedule or a plan or a checklist, whatever you want to call it, next week, where of how we roll this out. Okay, how we roll this out, how we get people to it. This won't all be in 1 week, of course, and also how we make that grow. And also, how we increase I'm going to use a big marketing word called conversion, but it really just means, sales, really. So it's very hard typing with one hand. There we go. Okay, so that's it. So that's what I'm going to try and do, next time. If I remember, but if I see that slide, it should remind me what we're doing. Okay, any questions? Type comments below the live stream video here, and I'll see them and answer them, in one way or the other. If not in the comment section, in the next show or in the following show. So that's it. I'll see you then. Let's hope it worked. And with my new microphone, which is super heavy, I'm going to have to get a lighter microphone with a stand, I think. But I didn't want it to crackle because I want you to hear what I'm saying. Anyway, I'll see you next Thursday when we, as I say, we work out, how to piece this together and schedule it out and get it to actually happen. Okay, because we're that close from doing it. As I say, this is here and now. It really is. We're not talking about next, in a year's time. We're talking about, next year, but that's, 8 weeks away. Okay. So it really is here now. So, and we want to, be at the front of this wave. So I'll see you then. Talk to you then. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.